All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us again for another great session of our Franchise Your Business webinar series. My name is Tom Dufour. I'm the CEO of Big Sky Franchise Team. And if you're new to us here, these sessions are really designed for providing franchisors with specific content to help you grow and develop and build as a franchisor. And we have a great guest with us today that I'm excited to have on. Paul Rocchio has been a guest in the past, but I'm so thankful to have him on again to be talking about the International Franchise Association's annual franchise convention. And Paul is the Vice President of Development and Member Services at the International Franchise Association. He's been with the IFA staff since 1999 and has...
and I'm only 20.
Yeah. And Paul has been working there as long as I can remember. As it's coming up on 20 years I've been in franchising.
Yeah, at least, right?
Yeah, he's a great just advocate for franchisors, franchisees, and just franchising in general, and helping people grow and develop through it. So I consider Paul not only just a great professional and expert in franchising, but someone I consider just a friend. I just think he's an awesome guy all around.
Likewise.
And so with that, Paul, I'd love for you to just turn things over to you to talk a little bit about the IFA, about the International Franchise Convention, and all things franchising here.
Oh, you bet. And Tom, as always, my friend, thank you for this opportunity to address your clients. Big Sky, you've really, in your 20 years, tenure, involved in IFA and franchising, and it may even be a little longer than 20 years, I think, for you, right? But you guys are just, you provided stellar services and stellar support and education to those folks that are wanting to franchise their business, and you're making it happen and you're helping guide them. And that's what it's all about, right? We always want to make sure that nobody goes about this on their own, and they're provided with the best resources so they can continue to grow and thrive through the business format franchise model, which we all love, right? And I can't thank you guys enough, you personally, and also just everybody on your team at Big Sky for doing the right thing. And that's what we always strive here at IFA is, our mission is to protect, enhance, and promote franchising, and this wonderful, business engine of creating opportunities for people to be their own boss, to own their own business, and to find that opportunity that you've helped folks take into franchising, right? And it just provides this this wonderful opportunity for people to be their own boss, to realize the American dream at the end of the day as a potential franchisee and as a franchisee, but also that entrepreneur, that person who created that concept, and they've always had the dream to franchise it. And that's where you come into play, and you help them, realize the dream of franchising that business and providing that opportunity for folks, and it helps them grow and expand. And that's what we're all about, right? That's what franchising is all about. So just quickly, IFA was founded in 1960 by a group of founders of franchise brands at the time, and it was Bill Rosenberg, the founder of Dunkin' Donuts, and I had the pleasure of knowing him my first 3 years here at IFA. And as he used to say in that thick Boston accent, I stood up from the table, threw $100 down, and said, "Let's start this bleepity bleep, association." And here we are over 60 years later, and it's just phenomenal. And so again, the mission at IFA has always been the same: to protect, enhance, and promote franchising. So yes, we are a nonprofit trade association. We represent all franchising, franchisors, franchisees, and suppliers like yourself, like Big Sky. And, really, like any trade association, especially the ones based here in DC, on the protection side, we are the lobbying arm for the business format franchise model. There's 300 different verticals that franchise. And, so when it comes to protecting the business model, my colleagues down the hall, they continually lobby at the federal, state, and regulatory side to protect the business model. Yes, if there's a specific issue that comes up in the pet care space or the senior care space, our members are working with their industry association on specific issues related to their industry. But that's where we will always join a coalition or sign a letter to help them in those areas. But at the end of the day, right now, the big issue, fortunately or unfortunately, is the NLRB came out with their ruling a couple of weeks ago on joint employer. We knew it was going to happen. We've been, IFA, but also our volunteer leaders, our officers, our board members, folks like yourself, Tom, we've been educating everybody about the business model, and we knew that they were going to come out with the ruling that they came out with. And, my colleagues, I've been joking with them on the government relations team. I'm like, geez, I haven't seen you guys wearing suits every single day since before the pandemic, because they're spending all their time up on Capitol Hill, and we have, listen, we have a very strong political action committee. That's how we were able to, create, the CARES Act, or specifically the PPP funds. And when we brought that to the table and they realized that, by giving people, for lack of a better term, giving people free money to protect jobs and protect businesses, that we will end up saving money. The government overall, the U.S. economy will end up saving money in the long run. And that's just because we have a very strong political action committee, FranPAC, and we have, a seat at the table, and we have the right people listening to us. And, listen, we have the right people right now listening to us regarding the joint employer ruling. And we will continue to make sure that, for selfish reasons, that and I, this is just me speaking. I can't speak for, my CEO, Matt Haller, or, Mike Lehman, our head of government relations, and my other colleagues on the GR team, as we call it. But, I would hope the goal is to make sure the business format franchise model is carved out of the joint employer ruling. If not, just we'd like to do away with it altogether. But as long as we could carve out the business format franchise model out of that ruling, that is the goal, and has been the goal. But the way things work in DC, it's never a dull moment. But on the protection side, among other things, that's that's a key example, real world, what's happening right now. How we continually protect the business model at the federal, state, and regulatory side, day in and day out. And we can't do that without the support of our members, through their membership dollars, among other things. And I always like to tell people, we're the stewards of the organization. It belongs to the dues paying members, and we will always do what we must do to protect the franchise model, so all of us could continue to grow and thrive, through franchising. And then on the enhancement side, so protect, enhance, promote, we are always continually educating our members, just like you are with your clients or prospective clients, right? At Big Sky, there's no reason to recreate the wheel. I tell people all the time, every single issue that has occurred in franchising has happened. And though we have competitors within our franchisor membership, within the 300 verticals, franchising is franchising. It's all the same. Whether you're flipping hamburgers, switching out mufflers, filling hotel beds, you're dealing with the same issues, generally speaking, right? And there's, people, in my tenure, and I know you've seen this too, Tom, people love to give back to people coming up the ladder behind them. People love, it's such a giving community, the franchise community. That's why, it's our members refer to it as the franchise family. And it truly is. I mean, just people, we see it all the time. People love to help those folks who are new to franchising, to educate them, to mentor them, to make sure they are, successful at franchising. And, whether it's through, and I'll obviously chat about our annual convention, but our other events that we do, through our newsletters, through our digital magazine, Franchising World, through the resources that we offer through our supplier membership, whether it's specifically our preferred vendors or all of our supplier members, like you guys. People reach out to me on a daily, weekly basis needing, payroll services or funding services, or they want to franchise their business. And, of course, we are a membership organization. I have to be fair to all of our members, but these are the things that we're continually doing. And of course, we have our certified franchise executive program, our CFE program, which is in the process of being certified on its own, which will, has never, it was never a certified program, but it will be. And there's quite a few hoops that, my colleague Sandy, who oversees education, is having to jump through, but she's been working on this for over a year. And we are almost at that stage where the program will be certified. I always refer to the CFE program as a master's degree, if you will, in franchising. And then you have to renew it every I think 3 years. I mean, I'm a CFE myself. I should know these things, but if anybody's interested in the CFE program, you work through Tom, and I'll connect you with my colleague Sandy or Brittany on the education side, and they'll provide you with some information there. But at the end of the day, it's always about best practices. It's always about continuing to steer your franchise system in the right direction, right? And that's where Tom and Big Sky will always continue to do that for you, and that's where IFA and IFA members in the franchising community will continue to assist you and work with you to make sure that you are fully aware of the best practices, or to validate that you're doing everything right. That there's always a lot to be said for validation. And I can't stress that enough to folks. Even folks that have been involved in IFA for a long time, they still come to our annual convention for a number of reasons. But, they either want to learn something new, learn about new best practices, or it's always good to validate that, wow, we're doing everything right, And there's a ton of value to that, I think, personally. But I also hear that from our members. And then, of course, on the promotion side, so protect, enhance, promote, we are constantly promoting, IFA members, whether it's the franchisor, the franchise system, and the franchisees, but also our supplier members. And as franchising has evolved over the years, IFA is not the only game in town, if you will. We're not a broker network. We're not an FSO. We have members who fall under the FSO space. We have members that fall under the broker space. And I will always, educate folks on everything that's available to you if that's what you're looking for. But I always like to say that, we're indirectly, promoting our members, obviously directly through our website, directly at the franchise expos that, we've had a long-standing partnership with MFE, now Comexposium, but we still refer to it as MFE. And they're in 2024, they're adding an additional show. It'll be in Austin, Texas. But we'll be starting in April, and then there's the big show in New York, the International Franchise Expo. And IFA members, franchisor members, receive a 7% discount to exhibit at those shows. And if you're an emerging startup brand, they actually have a discounted rate for emerging and startup brands. And I don't want to misspeak, Tom, but I think you're always exhibiting at all the MFE shows, and
yeah.
And I don't you also have a relationship with them where you kind of have like a pavilion for your brands, or is that or you at least encourage your brands to exhibit for those that want to do that, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yep. For those brands that are interested in exhibiting and participating, there are a lot of great unique options, like you had mentioned, where we can do pavilions or not, or
Yeah,
independent or not, or in various sections of the franchise show that make sense based on the needs of the franchisor. Absolutely.
exactly. And then even though we are the IFA, the International Franchise Association, in my tenure, we've always had somebody overseeing international, and currently that's my colleague Alan Catlett, who also oversees content for our events and for the convention. But we've always had a longstanding relationship with the U.S. Commercial Services, and they put together trade missions globally. And if you're an IFA member, if you're interested in going into, South America or going into Asia or the Middle East or Europe, they, even, well, coming out of COVID now, but, they have trade missions globally, and it's, what I refer to as a gold key program. There are representatives in those countries, from those countries, who work for the U.S. government, U.S. Commercial Services, and they're always finding, and they don't work for just the franchise industry, if you will, but other retail related sectors. But when it comes to franchising, they have, qualified individuals in those countries, and they will, bring them to the table when we have, these events in those countries. So obviously, you got to walk before you run, right? So I always, I'm just kind of conservative when it comes to growth. I always tell people you should really be, have everything buttoned up and lined up and almost be royalty sufficient before you start looking to franchise outside the US. Now, people always tend to start in Canada, but I know some emerging brands that, already have, locations in the Middle East, and I always wonder about that. But, that's just me. I mean, and this is where I always tell people, listen, I'm not a franchise attorney. I'm not a franchise consultant. You really should defer to people like Tom, and he'll tell you the best, the best pathway to growth, right? So, Tom, that's where I always just say, I always pass the buck, and I leave those hard decisions up to you, my friend. Okay.
Sure. Well, I appreciate that. And look, that's a great overview here on the IFA and all the various areas that you're involved with. And what I'd love for you to talk a little bit about, in addition to joining the IFA, becoming a certified franchise executive, and going through training, which, by the way, I'm a CFE as well.
Yep.
And one of the things that that we have coming up in the very not too distant future, and that's why I wanted to talk about it today, is about the annual franchise convention that's coming up.
Yes.
And while we're still just about to hit into Thanksgiving and then Christmas and all the other holidays and New Year's Day,
right?
and everything else, and but I want to get this on people's radar so that they can start coordinating hotels and flights. And so I'd love for you to talk about the annual convention. When is it? Where is it? Some of those particulars, and why would someone attend?
Exactly. So, and thank you, Tom, for that. So IFA's annual convention, and granted I'm biased, but it really is the, the main event in franchising for the entire year. It's a 10,000 pound gorilla, if you will. So our annual convention will be in Phoenix, Arizona at February 17th through the 20th. And, we'll be at the convention center in downtown Phoenix. And then there's, a number of hotels where we have room blocks, but as a follow-up, if anybody has any specific questions, I don't know if you're going to have my contact information on here, but people could always, anybody who's live today or listening in after today, just work through Tom and his team if you want to get in touch with me, and I'll be able to provide you with some specific information. But again, all of the information regarding our convention is up on the website. But so right now, registration is we've kind of have a light launch on registration, but so again, the convention February 17th through the 20th. It is ongoing educational seminars and sessions, thought leadership roundtables on every aspect of franchising. And we even have an emerging franchisor boot camp. And we've been in the process of kind of redesigning things. The overall schedule is set in stone, but we're still building out like all of the content. But I will say, so for right now, and I'll go over it kind of quickly but briefly, we have pre-events that occur on February 17th. And those pre-events are primarily anybody who has signed up for the CFE program or they're in the process of getting their CFE. We have all-day events, special sessions for the CFE program on February 16th and also on February 17th. And they are limited. There is, so if that is of interest to people, make sure you register for those early on. And then we also have, various committee meetings and board meetings and forum meetings that happen on the 16th and on the 17th. But the overall convention, really kicks in, the evening of the 17th. I mean, registration opens in the morning, and then we have our board meeting in the morning, but the emerging franchisor boot camp starts at 7:45 a.m. on February 17th and goes through till about 10:15 a.m. And then we have our various other committees, and then we have our marketing and innovation committee. We have our veterans group, because there's a lot of things that we provide here at IFA that help promote, whether it's you're wanting to promote your franchise brand to veterans, there's ways to do that. And so, any of our committee meetings are open to any attendee, even if you're not on the committee. It's always, I always tell people, let me at least get approval from my staff, my colleague, the staff liaison for that committee. And then we get approval from the chair, who's an IFA member. But I always encourage folks to at least sit in on a committee, and a committee that you might be interested in. And then, that evening, we also have our new member first time attendee orientation, where we're going to have a longstanding member of IFA acting as an ambassador, answering questions about the convention, going into, a little bit more detail than I might be going into on this call. But these are people, again, they're your peers in franchising. They will work with you and answer any and all questions you have about how to maximize the value of your time at the convention. And then we have our big opening reception. So I always tell people, if you're not going to come in for the emerging franchisor boot camp on that first day, at least try to get in, late morning, very early afternoon, so you could participate in, like, for example, our annual leadership conference, which was always run by the Women in Franchising Committee. But it's open to all attendees. But that is a phenomenal, side event that occurs in conjunction with our convention, and that's an event that starts at 11:45 in the morning on the 17th and goes through until 4 p.m. But we also have our opening general session is at 4:30. So it's always good to get in as early as you can if you can't travel the day before, because of course time is precious. And then following the following day, which is day 2, Sunday, February 18th, we have all of our we have really a wonderful program called Franchising Gives Back. It's our community service project. We've been doing it for years, and if that's something you want to do, we usually go to a distressed, public school, for example, and we help paint, we help do whatever they need. And it's everybody in the franchise community, franchisors, franchisees, and suppliers. And I'm embarrassed to say I've never actually participated in that event, because I jokingly tell people, especially my new colleagues here at IFA, how many times do you think I've attended the IFA convention? And they're like, oh, 20 plus. I'm like, no, I've never attended because I work the convention. So it's kind of a running
Yeah.
joke I have with folks, but I
Well,
tell people that, we don't attend, we work it, but it is a phenomenal event. And I encourage folks, if you're interested, to look into that.
And Paul, I would just jump in real quick too,
Yeah,
just to
yeah,
add into your overview about what you're describing. And for anyone that's considering or thinking about attending or wondering, should I or shouldn't I? The answer is yes, you should go. If you have any hesitation, you should attend. And in addition to the great educational sessions, the great keynotes that will be presenting on just a great
and
range of topics,
the networking, right,
and right there's the networking, and this is an opportunity, especially if you're an emerging or a brand new or a small franchise system, where you have the opportunity to literally sit down at a lunch table or at one of the breakout sessions, or at a
Yeah,
small, maybe you go to one of the educational events and maybe there are only 20 people attending that one, and you very well may be sitting right next to a vice president or a president or CEO of a major franchise system that has 1,000, 2,000, 3,000,
100%.
10,000 locations. It happens every year. And this is the one place where you're going to be able to do that consistently over and over and over again. And my experience has consistently been that, like Paul said, this is a franchise family. People are always willing to learn, to share, to provide detail, and help one another out. So I think that's just one of the takeaways, that it's hard to quantify that unless you go to and attend and participate in it.
It is, because, and then also to your point too, and I learned this from a CEO years ago who said, I always, I always jot down, what all the pain points I have within my system. And then I walk the trade show floor when the trade show floor is open, and it's always open. And that's where, our supplier members are exhibiting, to the franchising community. And they walk the trade show floor, because they know they're going to find a supplier. They're going to find a vendor there who is going to be able to, put alleviate that pain point, or put a Band-Aid, on that pain point. And not only that, but the supplier members who are involved in IFA, for the most part, they all understand the business format franchise model. Many of them were franchisors or franchisees, and sometimes they still are, but they understand the franchise relationship, and whether it's whether you're looking for, again, a new payroll provider or an additional funding source, or if you need a new AMS system or something, or a CRM. The folks that you will find on the trade show floor are going to be able to help you, and they all understand franchising. So, and they're going to be able to provide, some good, thought leadership for you as well. So, again, we're going to have at least 4,000 attendees at our convention, primarily franchisors, followed by suppliers. Not all the suppliers exhibit, but they do attend. And then also, I'm the liaison to the Supplier Forum Advisory Board. And one of the things historically that we've always done is we're responsible for the majority of the thought leadership roundtables. And this is where you're going to be able to sit at a table with not only, the supplier who is just facilitating the topic, but with other franchisors and possibly franchisees and other suppliers. And you're going to be able to have, if you want to learn more about local store marketing, you're going to be able to sit at that table and hear what all of these other folks have to say and get their feedback and what works well, what doesn't work well, or how to keep your franchisees profitable. You're going to hear from these experts, and everybody's an expert in franchising, right? And you're going to have the opportunity to not just be at that table, but then, we're going to break after about 40 minutes and you're going to go to another table. And we do that over the course of 2 days. And historically, I've always heard nothing but, like, we could do a convention on just roundtables, I think, thought leadership roundtables, and people, they love the roundtables. They get so much out of it. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, all of the, we always have a couple of, stellar keynote speakers. We always have very good, breakout sessions and educational sessions that occur, primarily a little bit on day one, but also heavily on day two, February 18th. And there is just so much you're going to be able to learn and take away. And I always tell people, don't be afraid to your point early. Don't be afraid to talk to that person sitting next to you. I used to hear this all the time. And from people, they were like, my God, I was just chatting with the founder of Subway, Fred DeLuca, may he rest in peace. And he used to always come to the convention and always give back to people. But you see that now, even with, our leaders and founders of brands now that are on our board or just involved in IFA. I bolster what you said 100%, Tom. People love to give back to people. So, don't be afraid to say hello to that person you're riding up the escalator with or in the elevator with. Let people know who you are. Let them know about your brand. They're going to want to talk to you. Doesn't matter if you have 0 units, 1 unit, or 10 units, and you think that person might have 1,000 or whatever. Because they used to be you. They used to be you. 5, 10, 20 years ago, and they will always assist and give back to you. And then, again, going into day 3 of our convention, it's just ongoing educational sessions. We have our Leadership Hispanic and Latino Council. We have our networking lunch with exhibitors. And then we have our roundtables again. And then we have our big closing general session. And then we have our closing event with exhibitors. If there was a couple of folks you missed and you want to get back and meet with them. And then we have our big closing, event, that evening called IFA Unplugged. And then on day 4, we close things out with our immersive workshops from 8:30 to 11. And then the convention, adjourns, Tuesday, February 20th at 11 a.m. And again, to your point earlier, Tom, coming up, after Thanksgiving, I always spend, an hour at least with whether you're a franchisor or franchisee or supplier, if you've never been to the convention. And as the convention program is detailed, I will go over the convention with people, and we have it broken into tracks for emerging brands, for legacy brands, for marketing, for Fran Dev, and I'm sure we're going to have a ton of topics on what's the hot topic these days. It's all about AI, right? It's all about ChatGPT. And, every conference I've been to, this year, there's been an AI ChatGPT component. And that's going to be the new flavor of the month. But, and as our convention program is set in stone, I'm more than happy for anybody on the call today or anybody who listens in after today, reach out to me and I will go through the entire schedule with you if you've never been, to help you maximize your value and your time at the convention and answer any questions you have. And Tom, if it's okay, at this point, I'd like to at least thank you for allowing me to extend this offer that I'm about to extend to everybody. But if anybody who is listening live today, and we'll know who you are, but if you're listening live today and you've never been to the IFA convention before, regardless of your membership status, if you're a member, great. If you're not a member, that's okay too. But if you've never been to the convention, I will be able to extend a scholarship to you if you're live listening today to cover the cost of your registration to come to the convention. And just so you know, the member rate, the discounted member rate to attend the convention, the early bird rate is $1,249. The non-member rate to attend the convention is $6,499. Oh, I take that back. I'm sorry, my mistake. The early bird rate to attend the convention, yes, is, but I'm not sure. I apologize. I don't know. I think that early bird rate goes to the end of December, if I recall. But if anybody's interested, I'll let you know. And then the franchise rate to attend the convention is $649. But you have to be a franchisee of either a current IFA member brand, or if you're a franchisee of a non-member brand, I just have to confirm that you are actually a franchisee. But again, if you are not a member, or if you are a member and you've never attended the convention before, work through Tom and his team, and I will be able to provide you with a scholarship to cover the cost of the registration. You'll still have to, we have a block of rooms. You'll still have to, pay for your incidentals, airfare, or, hotel, but I'll at least be able to cover that cost for you. And then if you are a member of IFA and you've attended the convention before, but people on your team have never attended, I will be able to provide you with a 50% discount for those team members to register for the convention at a 50% discount. But again, this is not only it's really as a thank you just to Tom for all of his support that he's been giving me over the past 20 years. And I want to be able to extend that offer to all of you. And again, people like Tom, people like me, we love franchising. We wake up every day and it has provided us, with a wonderful opportunity to help people, and to help people not only realize the dream of franchising their business, all of you true entrepreneurs out there, but then also being able to help people realize that they could actually own a business, investing in a proven concept, a proven system, and having the support of the franchisor, but all the franchisees within that system. And that's what makes franchising so great. And it's not just that support, but it's the entire cottage industry that's built up around franchising, of being able to continually get support, not only from Tom and his team, not only from me and IFA, but just everybody that you end up meeting within the franchise family. And then as you start to grow and thrive and realize your dream through franchising, then you'll all start giving back to the people coming up the ladder behind you, right? That's what we all strive for. So, on that
Paul,
note, Tom, if there's anything else you want me to cover, I'd be happy to, my friend. But
well, I was just going to interrupt here and just say thank you. This is amazing, and the offer is fantastic. So for those of you on the session here that's live, if you've never attended, essentially what Paul is saying is he's giving you complimentary access through a scholarship to cover your registration fee, which the early bird rate for a member rate, if you're a member supplier,
$12.49.
A member franchisor, member sponsor, it's $12.49. And the on-site registration, I just pulled up the rates here. If you wait to register on site, it's $14.49. So it's another $200. Yep. So, that's over $1,200 scholarship to come attend. You cover your travel to get out there and such, and it's covered. And then if you're an existing member, you've attended, but some of your team members haven't, that's half off. So it's substantial opportunity for you, for your franchise system to participate. I'm super grateful about that.
Listen, my pleasure. And also just to make it even more clear. So even if you're not a franchise or a member of IFA and you're on the call live today, you don't have to join IFA. And and I will still give you that scholarship to attend at, for free, basically. But the non-member rate to attend the convention is $6,499. And I would imagine most of you on this call, if you're truly a startup and emerging brand, the entry fee, is 20, it's over $2,500, but I am more than happy to extend this, really as a thank you to you, Tom, for all the support you always give IFA, but just me personally, my friend. And if I have to deal, I'll deal with my colleagues internally on that. Let me deal with that, but I'll take care of that. It's the least I could do.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, we've got some chatter already from at least one attendee here, so we'll be syncing you all up together. And
awesome.
Real quick, I'd just like to open it up. Are there any questions from anyone who is attending live that we could open up? If you want to hit the raise hand feature, if you want to chat, I'll unmute you, or if you just want to type it in the Q&A or chat box there, we can go ahead and answer that. Paul, real quick, while we're waiting for people to respond, will you give everyone your email address or best email or phone number, or best way to get in touch with you?
You bet. So my email, and I apologize, my last name isn't Smith, but it's P for Paul, and then my last name Rocchio, ROCCHIO @franchise.org. So that's Rocchio @franchise.org. And then my direct dial here at the office is 202-662-0790. So Rocchio @franchise.org, 202-662-0790 is my direct dial. And feel free to reach out to me at any time. Would be a pleasure to answer any questions you have or assist you in any way.
Great. Well, this has been absolutely fantastic, Paul. I'm so grateful for your time. Thank you for being here. And for anyone who listens in or would like, and anyone who'd like to share this, we will have this published in live next week on YouTube, as well as on our podcast channel, Franchise Your Business. So please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, to our podcast called Franchise Your Business, as well as our second podcast called Multiply Your Success. And
awesome.
Paul, looking forward to seeing you again here soon. And thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Hey, Tom, thank you always for this opportunity to address your folks. And happy holidays to you, my friend. Before you know it, it'll be February, and we'll be, hanging out in Phoenix, February 17th through the 20th at the IFA convention. Hopefully we'll see, I know I'll see you there, Tom, but hopefully we'll see other folks there as well. And just again, Tom, thank you for everything and everything that you guys do and the stellar support that you continually provide, both to the franchising community, to people who want to franchise their business, and to me personally, my friend. So thanks, buddy. Really appreciate you, my friend.
Well, thank you, Paul. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.
Yep. Stay well. Bye, guys. Thanks.